So what we did actually, we just made these up this week for our staff. We were just experimenting in a pumpkin spice latte, right? What's in a latte is mostly milk. So for that factor, you can just use skim milk. You can use an unsweetened soy milk, right? So this is one easy substitute. The pumpkin, I would just simply use, if you want to actually use pumpkin in there, and as opposed to just pumpkin spice, or both, I would simply just use Libby's, right? Canned pumpkin puree. And just a little bit of it in there mixed in, but mixing a little pumpkin pie spice with that just gives you even more flavor. And in a pumpkin pie spice, you got cinnamon as the main component, allspice, nutmeg, clove, and usually a little ginger as well. And mixing that pumpkin with a little bit of espresso, right? Like actually fresh brewed espresso that you didn't add any extra sugar to, or anything like that.
To it, yeah.
That's what usually most coffee places do is give you espresso as the base for your latte. So you can make your own espresso, and just have a little bit of it as your base. I mean, I'm talking usually it's like a small amount in the bottom. They put that, the syrup usually also comes into play at a place like these coffee barista places are just using like some sort of corn syrup base to sweeten that flavor of the pumpkin. Mm-hmm. But you can kind of sweeten your latte with Splenda. You could simply use Swerve. You can use Truvia or something like that. And that way you get a little, even just the pumpkin itself has sweetness, so it depends on what your palate wants, but making it super sickly sweet is certainly not what we really want to go for.
I totally agree. Every time of year when it comes around this time, you see pumpkin this, pumpkin that, pumpkin, and I'm always trying to think of new ways to include pumpkin. So I love the latte idea, but I had another question for you because I was experimenting with this the other day and I thought it was really good. I was making a pasta sauce, and I put some pureed pumpkin right in the sauce, and it just made it like really thick. And
what kind of sauce were you making?
I was making like a marinara spaghetti sauce with some ground up turkey meat in there, and I just took some pumpkin, and I just think it's a really great way to kind of thicken sauces up a bit. Like it seemed a little Alfredo-y, but but it wasn't.
We use pumpkin puree all year long, right? Here at Pritikin, we're going through, not a whole can, but almost a half a can every single day. We add it in our vegetable soup. It depends on what we're making with it, but we'll use it as opposed to using tomato puree. We'll actually use pumpkin puree some days, with the vegetable broth to make our vegetable soup base. It gives it a little more sweetness, gives it a little more thickness, and that body you're looking for. But also you could use a combination of that in tomato puree. And it's a good way to get more flavor in a soup. We even we're just discussing about how you can kind of try to use it as an alternative to egg, as an alternative to
That's
to
right.
oil.
I saw that. And I tried it. And I made some healthy herb brownies, and I put in there as my oil replacer. So I used absolutely no oil at all. Yeah. And
pumpkin
it was
puree.
sweet and it was moist. It was really, really good. I was really surprised.
It's a little learning curve to try to do it with applesauce or pumpkin puree to kind of get that texture and what you're looking for in the end. But it's a great alternative. So if you don't want to use whole eggs. Of course, we don't want to use that. You can try using egg whites or egg beaters. But really, the fat replacement is certainly something you really want to try to get out of that recipe. The fat, whether it be butter or oil, and try using things like the applesauce or pumpkin puree. It's a good way to kind of get that overall lower in calorie density.
Right. And by the way, I don't know if you realize this because I know you're all on the cooking side and I'm all on the nutrition side, but pumpkin is, first of all, it's super low calorie dense. It's like 50 calories a cup. So you could actually, eat a lot of it, feel full. It's very fibrous as well. Yeah. So it's great for lowering cholesterol and help balancing blood sugars. And it's also an antibacterial, so good for the immune system. So, I think that we should just be having pumpkin all year round. We don't just have to save it for fall, right?
If it was up to my wife, they'd make pumpkin toothpaste and pumpkin.
They probably do.
This woman is pumpkin out. It's like she's actually got me to the point where I almost dread seeing these things. So I'm like, pumpkin, everything. But I do like pumpkin, but it can be quite overwhelming this time of the year, especially when it's August and they're already putting pumpkin stuff out, and. Some places just skip over Halloween, go right to Christmas. It seems like, but one thing I like to tell people is if you're trying to actually cook pumpkin and you're going to buy a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin and you think to cook that is going to come out good, that's not. A jack-o'-lantern pumpkin's stringy. They don't really have that much meat in them either, and when they cook, they're not really that good. I tell people to use either a Spanish pumpkin, a calabaza squash, which is available all year long. Usually they're very big, so they usually cut them in sections and sell them already cut up in a refrigerated section at the grocery store. I mean, I'm telling you, these things are sometimes very big. But butternut squash. I mean, butternut squash is available all year long.
Like candy.
And it has a
Love it.
very similar flavor to just using regular pumpkin, especially if you roast the butternut squash, right? I mean, we have a roasted butternut squash soup that we serve here, splitting that thing in half with the skin on there, scoop the seeds out, put the cut side down on the tray that you spray a little bit, and roast it until about maybe 30, 45 minutes till it's till it's tender. You could just eat it like that, right? I mean, I wouldn't eat the skin of the butternut squash, but the inside. But there's some squash, like acorn squash, that you can eat the skin of, eat the whole thing. I mean, you have to try using some more stuff, folks. If you're not using pumpkin, you're missing out. And use it all year. Don't use it only like these 3 months of the year.
Because by the way, now it's hard to find because everyone's buying it. So just stock up later, like when it's not the fall or Halloween time, and have it for Halloween.
I learned my lesson years ago. I bought like 8 cases, like 8 big, 8. They come in like 6 cans each case. I bought them like a month ago.
You're smart.
Yeah. It was like last year, from the whole month of October, you can't find canned pumpkins. This doesn't exist.
You definitely can't.
If you like this short clip and you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to watch a full episode, click here.